You are getting ready to listen to the voice of Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, four-time national judo champion, Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, author, speaker, and coach.
I appreciate my main man, Brian, helping me out. Thank you, Brian. Hopefully you all can hear me now. I wanted to, first of all, welcome to another edition of Coffee with Rhadi. I wanted to provide a little commentary concerning some of what's going on, Stephen? I hope you're doing well, sir. Some of the recent events that occurred, you can say within the cultural or national landscape, if you will. But first and foremost, I want to say this. I don't get down with people celebrating somebody being shot or somebody being killed or somebody being assassinated, especially in the space and place of our democratic process. I tell people the same thing, no matter who they're talking about. When somebody tells me, I don't like Obama, or I don't like Biden, or I don't like Trump, I tell everybody the same thing. I say, you don't know either one of those people. And most of you all don't know anybody who has one of those people's phone number in their phone for you to like them or not. You don't know them in order to not like them. What you may not like is what you believe about them, what you've heard about them, or what you think that you know about them. But you don't know them to say that you don't like them. When people ask me about President Trump and how I feel about President Trump, I don't know President Trump. But I called somebody who knows President Trump, and he said President Trump's a nice guy. That's all I got for you. I can't tell you if he's good. I can't tell you if he's bad. I'm not getting into, what he said and what he didn't say and he lied. That's not my deal. If you ask me if I like him or not, I'm going to tell you I don't know him to say that I like him. But I will tell you this. I love him just like I love you, because love is a commandment and I love everybody. Now, with that, let's begin. I want to get to this point where we understand that we need to understand math. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're independent. You need to understand math. So let's start with math first. All right? Take your political preferences out of the whole thing, and let's just go with math. If we do the math, okay, almost every election since 1996, all right, almost every election since 1996, the country is almost split with a 47, 53, 49, 51, 50.5, 49. There's almost a 50-50 split where half the country is going to feel one way and half the country is going to feel another way. Just because your side didn't win doesn't mean somebody cheated. It's always going to be like this. Now, let's look at the statistics, okay? The last time a Republican president won the popular vote, I believe it was in 2016. When President Trump got elected and the people said the country has spoken, the country did not speak for that. The majority of the people in the country wanted Hillary Clinton at that time. The majority of the people. When Biden ran, Biden also won the popular vote. The Republicans have not won the popular vote since 2016. Now, I want you to understand something, because I need people to understand the the historical landscape of the United States of America. History is very important. All right. No matter who you like or who you don't like it, history is very important. We have something called the Electoral College that is in place. The Electoral College is in place because we don't have a democracy, we have a republic. I understand why we don't just allow the population to run the vote and run the country. Just based upon things like argumentum ad populum, which if everybody thinks it, then it must be true. If everybody says it, then it must be true. Oftentimes, the smartest and most equipped people aren't in the majority. That's just how it goes. There's a C-suite where the CFO, CIO, CEO, and then there's everybody else underneath, and the people up top make the rules and the people underneath follow the rules. It's kind of how it goes. The Electoral College was made to maintain some type of power. It does allow for people to win who aren't, let's say it like this. It allows people to win who have not won the popular vote. Now, with that being said, how do these things occur? Well, there's something you got to do your research. You got to read. And I'm not getting into the political discussion of right and left. I'm down the center. There's something called redlining. All right, where you have to look at how districts and states are redlined to create these pockets and portions of voting blocks to allow certain people to win and certain people to lose. It's also why you have to pay attention to the midterm elections, because this is where the redlining and these things occur. Now, from a strategic and tactical standpoint, the Republicans within the United States understand that more often than not, because of history, not because of what Dr. Ferguson says, but because of the numbers, because of history, more often than not, they can't win the popular vote. Now, why are they having a tough time winning the popular vote? More often than not, whether they'll win the popular vote this time or not, I don't know. But more often than not, they have a tough time winning the popular vote. Why? Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the statistics. More often than not, when we look at the GOP, the grand old party, when you look at the convention and the people on the floor, it's a very homogeneous group on the floor. That homogeneous group is shrinking over a period of time, meaning the population of what we would call whites in America is a shrinking population. The population is shrinking so much that that people have to put practices in place to stop this population from shrinking. One of the major things that they do is they put the practice in place of there's a, I don't want to use triggering words here, but they create situations where they want people to have babies. And it's a pro-birthing thing, not necessarily a pro-life thing, because then there's no programs in place, or a lot of programs in place, to make sure that those people who are quote unquote disenfranchised, that their children can ascend to the top tiers of what we would call society. It is a good long-term smart play, and it's what you need to do if you're trying to win. Now, I have no problem with any of these things. I have no problem with any of these things. None of them. Now, some of my friends at Howard University would be like, why don't you have a problem with these things? I don't have a problem with these things because people do what they need to do in order to win. That's what people do. I don't have a problem with that. What you need to do is find out what you need to do in order to win. As I said, I'm not playing the right, I'm not playing the left, I'm playing it down the center. Now, here's the deal. When you look at the popular vote, okay, and you see how the popular vote has been over the past couple of years and the past couple of cycles, and you see that more often than not, the Republicans have a tough time winning the popular vote, you can see how a majority of the country is disgruntled when somebody that they didn't vote for, they didn't want, ends up being in office, okay? And then you can also see how it can be upsetting when people say, well, you're cheating. Well, didn't cheat in 2016, didn't cheat in 2020, didn't cheat in 2024. It's just that's just been that's the direction that the country is going. However, it can be changed with some redlining. All right. Now, let me say this. The fabric of our country is very fragile because, as I said before, when you go back and you look at previous elections, there's always 50% of the population that didn't agree with the other 50%. Here's where Donald Trump comes into play. Because 50% of those particular people don't agree with the selection, those 50%, that 50% needs to be pacified in such a way that they don't create an uproar. If there's anybody who should have been upset about not being elected or selected as president, it should be a gentleman by the name of Al Gore. Now, Al Gore had the option, as many other people who didn't win the election. He could have said, throw the whole thing to hell. Let's riot. They cheated. Okay. Al Gore didn't use that type of rhetoric. Because Trump uses that type of rhetoric, what happens is it tears at the fabric of our democracy, where everybody believes that if they didn't win, then they were cheated. I'm a practitioner in the sport of judo and the art of judo. And the one beautiful thing that I like about judo, and what I really dislike about judo, is that when you're on the mat in judo and there's a judo match going on, once the ruling is made, the ruling is final. And referees make mistakes. I've seen people get cheated. I've seen the calls. I see people make the wrong calls. But the thing about it is that the ruling is final. And once you have your small attitudinal protest, you turn around, you bow, and you walk off the mat, and you don't throw stuff in the back, and you don't pitch your fit in the parking lot. The ruling is final. And the beautiful thing about judo is you kind of learn how to take all those things in stride and move on. You learn how to win and lose with grace. Going back to my issue in terms of how we comport ourselves in society. As individuals in the United States of America, as individuals in the United States of America, you have to find a way to accept when you don't get your way. Otherwise, every time you didn't get your way, you go get something and end somebody's life, or you go, storm the Capitol, or you go tear down something, or you go riot. And I don't believe in any of that. I don't think that anybody should do any of those. I don't think people should tear up stuff. I don't. Do I understand why it happens? Yes. Have I studied those particular things? Yes. Have I studied the civil rights movement? Yes. I had my time. Okay. And I will say this I'm not going to say it because I'm doing so good in this discussion. There's certain topics that I don't even want to touch because I want you all to be able to hear me. So I'm not even going to touch those topics. All right. So I will say this. We have to find common ground on which we agree. So let's get here. If you choose to pass this on to somebody, let's get here. Let's understand this. First and foremost, somebody's going to win the election and somebody's going to lose. We all understand that premise. Secondly, we have two candidates who are elderly people. We all have grandparents. We've all seen older people in the church. Both candidates have misspoken. Both candidates forget the names of stuff. Both of them have done it. Now, how you remix it and put it on each network or MSNBC or CNN or Fox, however you remix it, it's okay. But we have to understand, we got to accept that both candidates have done that. And if we can't do that, then we can't be honest with ourselves. Like, I'm not on the right, I'm not on the left, we're going to play it down the middle. We have to understand that both candidates have done it. We also have to understand this. Both candidates don't tell the truth all the time. These are things that these are things in which we have to agree. And then we need to understand this. As a people and as a person, you're not going to agree with the platform of every individual. You're not going to agree with Donald Trump's platform all the way. You're not going to agree with Biden's platform all the way. On these things, I think that we can all agree. Can we all agree on this? I think we can all agree on this. So what happens is this. We then choose our deal breakers. So if your deal breaker is abortion, then it doesn't matter all the other stuff. If abortion is your deal breaker, then abortion is your deal breaker. All right? If LGBTQ is your deal breaker, then that's your deal breaker. If you're hardcore you're a hardcore evangelical Christian, then there's some things that are your deal breakers. If you're hardcore on diversity, equity, and inclusion, then that's your deal breaker. We have to understand what the deal breakers are and be honest with each other and say, you know what, man, this is who I'm voting for and that other stuff. And those are my deal breakers. Because no candidate is going to fit what you need all the way down the line. And here's the other thing. You got to do some research, okay? You can research the price of gas if you'd like, all right? There is very little that a sitting president has to do with the price of gas. People say, yeah, but we could build a pipeline in the country. Okay, yeah. You can write something on a piece of paper and start building a pipeline and start drilling. You could do all those particular things. You could do that. That's not going to change the universal global price of a barrel of oil. Jeez, wheezy. It's very, very difficult to get people to understand those particular things. It's also difficult for people to understand that prices have gone up for every president. When I was growing up, I saw gas at 79 cents a gallon. Gas is not going back to 79 cents a gallon. It is not. I've watched the gas prices steadily climb over the years. I've watched the debt. The debt goes up under every president. That's what debt does, you know. If you can't pay it off, debt just continues to increase. That's what happens. So talking about grocery prices, talking about the price of gas, talking about those things, those are nonsensical discussions. What you need to find and what you need to understand are what your deal breakers are. And then you need to be able to respect what other people's deal breakers are and then respectfully disagree and then go about your business. No, are there some things that I would like to see in the country? Yes, I would. Are there some things that you would like to see in the country? Yes, I'm sure. Are there some things that you're worried about or you're afraid about? Yes, of course. I'm going to tell you something that I have a great opportunity to witness as a coach, and especially as a martial arts coach. I don't know if you've ever, and I got my man Aaron Jeter on here. What's going on, Aaron? Aaron and I are around the same age, 49, 50, something like that. He's very fit. Okay. I don't know if Aaron's ever had the experience as an adult of being held down by another person against his will, and there's nothing that he can do. It is a frustrating experience. What we need to understand is that there are certain people in the United States of America who are in certain situations where they feel like they're being held down, and they feel like that there's nothing that they can do. And it doesn't matter how hard Aaron works. It doesn't matter how much movement Aaron does. It doesn't matter how much it doesn't matter how much he struggles. It doesn't matter how much he can do incantations. He can pray. He can grab oil out of his pocket and splatter it all around the room. He can start speaking in tongues. He could do anything he wants to do. He is not getting out from that situation unless somebody lets him go. And there are certain people who are in that particular situation. And those people who are in that situation, they will listen to anyone and anything in order to get out of that situation. Let me bring it home for you. I have a friend that I know who is in a have mercy situation financially. She goes to work, tries to pay her bills, she's been late on the payment. The payment late, the people on the car note increase the car note. She late on the house payment. The people, the landlord increase. He gives her a penalty, and puts the penalty on top of the new. Now, if you couldn't pay before, you damn sure can't pay now. Then all this is going on, stress, get sick, miss work. We start missing work. What happened, Timothy? The people what? People let you go. So now you were working. Now you're looking for work. Can't find work. Rents increased. Car notes increased. The rent people getting ready to send you to the eviction. Now her daughter had to go to the hospital, to the urgent care. Slipped and cut herself. Daughter slipped and cut herself. The people at the urgent care called who? Called the people. Called the CPS. CPS comes by, talks to the landlord, ain't got no job, behind on the note. So what they do, now they threatening to take the person's what? Kids' work. Now you're talking about somebody working in school, trying to she feels like she's stuck. Now, she feels like she's stuck, and who's the current president? Biden. So no matter what Biden says, it's not gonna resonate with her because of her current situation. What she wants is what everybody else felt before when Obama was running. She wants change. So whatever's going on right now, she wants the opposite of what's going on right now. She doesn't want to hear, let's keep a steady course and maintain the status quo. What she wants is change. To her, Donald Trump seems like change. And you got to be willing to listen to people and respect where they are in that situation. There's nothing that you're going to tell that person that's going to change their mind on that. This is why we have to get to a place where we stop calling people names. Oh my gosh. People who've been around me, you never heard me talk in terms of left and right. I don't call people on the right, I don't call them crazy. I don't call liberals crazy. I'm reading this book now called The Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt, which is absolutely fantastic. Haidt. And in the book, he talked about diversity and the different types of diversity. he talked about like moral diversity and ethical diversity, and how people get things confused sometimes when you hear the word diversity. He spoke about, in the political landscape, the individuals on the right, when they talk about diversity, they respect diversity, but they want to hammer in on commonality, because diversity in and of itself can cause a divergence. So they're like, instead of us focusing on all the things that are diverse, let's focus on our commonalities and move forward and harness our strengths as a people in the country. Man, it's not bad. It's good. It's fine. People on the left are, yeah, but I feel that we're not in a place that we need to be because we're disenfranchised. So our voice is not in these places, because in these certain places and spaces, if the board is white, then the tendency is to hire the people who look like you, who think like you, who talk like you, and who act like you. That's just what people do. I mean, that's just normal stuff. Then the argument conversely is, why don't we just hire the person who's best for the job? Well, how do you know who's best for the job if you're not looking for those people? Because in a situation that wasn't so long ago, the people who were the best at the job still didn't get hired. So you have people who are living like my parents, who have lived in an area where they've seen people who were the best at the job who still didn't get the job. Now, those people have indoctrinated and talked to and taught people like me, especially people like me who've gone to like a historically black college, where those individuals who are that age are teaching the people who were teaching people who are my age. Like, they grew up in an era where I was the best, and because it was like that, I still didn't get the job. So when they're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're coming from a different space than what you hear. And if you're not willing to listen to the other side, and all you want to do is argue your point, we'll never move forward as a country. Now, let me get to this situation that occurred yesterday. My ex-wife filed for divorce in 2018. If you ask me, I'm a really nice guy. I can be a little intense, people have told me, but I'm honest. I'm a straight shooter. That's it. When I was going through therapy, I remember I was like, well, she did this and she did that. My therapist is like, hey, cut it. My therapist is like, I don't hear nothing about your ex-wife. He said, the focus is on you. He said, what did you do? What are you willing to change? What don't you want to change? And how do we move forward? I wanted to cuss him. And the reason why I'm bringing up this is because in every situation that occurs in your life, you have to sit down and ask yourself, where was my hand in this? What did I do in this situation to cause this situation to come to fruition? Because here's the deal. My ex-wife didn't just show up on my door one day and be like, I want to marry you. That's not what happened. I looked at the qualities that she had. I pursued her. I asked her for a hand in marriage. I was married. I courted her. I was engaged for a few years. I was married for more than a few years. And then she decided she didn't want to be married anymore. So I can't point the finger at her and be like, no. I had to ask. I say, hey, what parts of Rhadi Ferguson need to be addressed so that I can move forward and make the proper adjustments so I can go from Rhadi 1.0 to Rhadi 2.0 while making the adjustments to move to Rhadi 3.0. Because sitting there focusing on, I can't. What I'm worried about that for? I'm saying that to say this. I'm watching the rhetoric on Facebook and on Twitter about these crazy people on the left and these crazy people over, and this man. I got it. I'm with you. We're together on it. I'm asking you to meet me in the middle. I'm asking you to meet me in the middle. If we meet in the middle, let's ask the question. Because it's not. You can't just say, well, so and so is crazy. No, you can't do that. You gotta take extreme ownership, okay, if you will. You gotta ask yourself, what about, if you're Donald Trump, you can say, what about my stance? Or what about my delivery or my presentation would make somebody want to shoot me? And if you're on the other side, you got to ask yourself, what would make somebody so angry that he would want to remove the person who is the nominee for the Republican Party? You need to ask yourself that question, and without pointing the finger at someone else. This is quality discourse so that we can move forward as a country. You have to do those things. It's like me. I had to sit down and say, what would cause somebody to just say, you know what, I'm out of here, I'm leaving, I don't want to deal with you no more. And then you need to address those particular things, whether you agree with them or not. And I think if we have those type of discussions and we stop yelling and screaming and creating this line of division and work more toward the center, I think we can move forward as a people. Now, I'll answer some questions that you have for me, like internally. So people say, well, Dr. Ferguson, who are you voting for? I'm going to tell you who I'm voting for. All right? I'm going to vote for the person that has my best personal, fiscal, and social desires at the forefront. I am 49 right now. I am not 29. When I was 19, 20 years old, I was out on the mall at Howard in Washington, D.C., marching from Howard University in 1995 at the Million Man March. I ain't Million Man marching no more. I'm one man marching. I'm 3-man marching. Me, Rhadi, and Rufus. That's it. I'm 3-man marching now. Now my life is a little bit different. I gotta think about things differently. All right? I gotta think about creating a better world when I'm not here, but also thinking, they need to worry about what they need to worry about when they're here. I'm out of here at about another 35. So I got to do what I need to do so that my 35 are good. And they got to do what they need to do so their time is good. Not to say that I don't care about the future. I most definitely care about the future. I am part of a older voting block now. I'm that 50 to 70 range voting block. I'm 49, but I'm in that 50 to 70 range voting block. All right. I can tell you right now, as someone who grew up in the South and went to historically black college, some of the stuff that Trump says is not. I don't like it. I'm not cool with it. I can also tell you, as someone who grew up as a very conservative Christian, there's certain things that I don't really get down with on the Democratic Party either. It is what it is. I'm like you. I gotta sit down and find out what my deal breakers are. Then we gotta move forward. And that's what it is. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to have discussions with people who are arguing about a bunch of nothing and sound bites and telling me that Biden is old. Like, man, we knew that already. My dad is old too, but he ain't stupid. Just because my dad is old don't mean he's stupid. I know people who know Biden personally. I said, man, what's up with Joe Biden, man? What's up with Biden? He's like, dog, he's old, man. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you because, and my cousin Antron is on here. I'm talking to you because I know the people who know him, who could call him on the phone and talk to him, who could see him during the day and talk to him. Say, the man just old, man. I also asked him, what's up with Trump? He said, man, Trump's a smart dude, man. He said he be playing dumb. He said he ain't dumb. So let me say this in this Coffee with Rhadi. One, first and foremost, I think that when you're having let me back up. Let me go to 0 first before I go to 1. First of all, I do think you should discuss politics. People say, well, you shouldn't discuss politics. You should discuss politics. All right. That's 0. Number 1, you need to lead with love. Run on over to Corinthians 13th chapter and look it up, man. You need to be patient. You need to be kind. You need to also be a good listener. You can have a discussion with somebody and listen to where they're coming from and stop trying to create traps for that person. And, you know, I remember when I was at the Tampa Club a couple of years ago, and I was at the table. My man Fabricio was there, and there was a couple of families there, and the lady was asking me about, we were having a political discussion. It was Hillary and Trump were running at the time. And she was like, well, are you for abortion? I said, excuse me, ma'am? She said, are you for abortion? I said, ma'am, I don't know anybody at this table who is for abortion. I said, so that'll be a no. Yeah, but are you pro-life? I said, ma'am, I think everybody at this table is for people being able to live. Yeah, but are you pro? I said, ma'am, I also believe that everybody at this table was handed a menu at the beginning of dinner, and they were all given a choice of what they wanted to eat. I said, some of you all chose vegan selections based upon your personal mores. I said, some of you all chose to eat meat. I said, some of you all chose seafood. I said, some of you all chose to drink. I said, some people chose not to drink. I said, but you had a choice of what you wanted to consume. I believe that you should be given a menu and you should choose what you like. I said, if you want to send yourself to heaven, I said, you can. If you like to march to hell, I said, that's your right. I said, but you're given a menu here. Her son at the table was like, I like this guy. He's a smart guy. I don't know if I'm a smart guy or not, but I will say this. I believe that there's a way to have a conversation with people and to do it with love and to do it with respect and to do it without insulting people out the gate. I think that there's a more excellent way for us to govern ourselves as people in the United States of America, and we're just not doing it right now. And I will close with this. You are a complete and utter idiot if your decision when you don't get your way is to promote a civil war. And I say that after saying you shouldn't do any name calling, but that's so far out of the realm of logical that you got to do something differently. You have to be able to have discourse with people and then respect the people after discourse. That's it. This is Dr. Ferguson. As I always say, man, I love you, but God loves you best. And take care and have a super fantastic day.
You are getting ready to listen to the voice of Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, 4-time national judo champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, author, speaker, and coach.